Hello, this is DM Rob G, and welcome to DM Rob G Gaming. Now, I hope this particular series to just be like a catch-up news series. It's going to be kind of once a week, maybe every other week, perhaps if I have a lot to say, more than 1 week. So, I do have a special setting for this. No tutorial. Difficulty will be the YouTube one. I have a bit of a bonus for the time order, just so I can run multiple loads. You know what? Double it. This is just so I can run multiple loads and manage to get them all on the same track. Especially once I manage to get the multiple... Oh god, what are they called? Like the DE6, I can get like 13 or 14 different loads without them actually managing to expire. Start new career session. So basically, I know I haven't been around, and I know many of you have. I'm sure many of you have been wanting to know where I am, but okay. I figure many of you wanted to know where I was, and many of you don't care, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Basically, I was on this subreddit, and I was a really popular member of this subreddit. And when they formed a Discord, I actually hopped into it. It's one of those women's rights subreddit run by women, that sort of thing. Now, to leave names out of it, because I don't want a lot of judgment going on. With, oh, you should have seen this coming, blah, 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 blah. No, I shouldn't have. But what happened is, I got on this Discord. I got in early. Order validator, cert delivery, cancel, crouches. Oh, shunting. Steel rails, way too many. Way too heavy. That's odd. That's also too heavy, oddly enough. Well, I guess I'm doing shunting. Let's see. Licenses. So basically, what ended up happening is I'm in this server for a year. It opens up. We get a lot of people. I began helping them a lot. Now, what I do is... Oh, wait. Wallet. Now, keep in mind, I'm gonna, and just so you know, there are gonna be some weird cuts here just because I am actually physically readjusting myself, readjusting the microphone as I basically see fit. Oh, here you are. Now, with that being said, I'm basically in the server for a year. Now, after a year, I managed to get a moderator staff. Now, I trust this website. It's basically a safe place because they actually have several, like LGBT staff. As in, like, one of the members was non-binary. One of the members was exploring their gender identity. There was a really well-respected moderator who identified as female who was in charge of the entire operation. Who was in charge of the entire operation. Now, I eventually managed to get in this moderator. Now, keep in mind that isn't the only person, and I'm going to start rambling because I'm playing as I'm retelling and basically reliving the story, and I'm sorry for that. Oh, wait. But there are people identifying as women, people identifying as men, people identifying as someone who identified as male and then slowly transitioned into being a female, into a female identity. Now, essentially what ended up happening is I was made a mod of this entire group. Now, this entire server is a witchcraft server, so I was using my moderator, so I was using my both moderator powers, basically put my education in Black history to use. So we had this room called the Cookout, where people who were able to go in and basically rant about racism in their lives, talk about racism. I actually used my experience to answer several questions. I might be facing the wrong way. Nope, okay, cool. Am I? So, for example, like someone asked me, like someone didn't know why they... Okay, that's the right way. Someone didn't know why people like Italians weren't seen as white, and I used my experience, my education to look up sources about that particular history, like that sort of thing. And basically talk a bit about the Black identity in a couple of comments. Now, I don't have that much experience, so I didn't go in that far. So I didn't go into that much detail on it, which, you know, I'd rather not go into detail rather than just... I'd rather not go into detail. Where am I going? B7S. Rather not go into detail and then give out wrong information. Excuse me, and then give out wrong information. Now, for my part, this was fine until a moderator was caught basically saying that in her country, people who want to have gender reassignment surgery are basically have to have a psychiatric appointment which according to that treatment philosophy, they need to have. This is a sort of a guide stone to determine how you are doing during your transition. There are regular psychiatric meetings during this time to determine if you're getting better, getting worse, neutral, if treatment needs to change, if the speed of treatment needs to change, that sort of thing. Now, one of the people there basically had an entire issue with it, saying, you know, why can't we be allowed to determine our own gender identity, which again isn't what the mod was saying. They were saying that because it's a medical treatment, it needs to be treated from a medical standpoint. And this goes back and forth publicly for a minute. For some time, and oh god, are you for real? Please be this side. Nope. Nope. So what ends up happening is this ends up spilling into a user complaint in our private moderator chat. What the moderators decided was to do was basically sort of try and play both sides, where you say, yes, we respect the fact that you interpret it this way, but that is not what she was saying, and in her country it's illegal to actually operate against that. And again, this did not solve anything. The entire time I'm like, look, we need to nip the situation in the bud before it gets worse. Now, I, for the most part, was completely ignored, which, I mean, that's going to happen at some point. I really don't care. So what would end up happening is this user, we think, well, somebody managed to get to look in the moderators, into that particular moderator's profile, and find out where she lived, because she had her country of origin and her job in her profile, which none of us thought anything of it at the time. I mean, she literally had the phrase, I help trans people in this country, but didn't give an organization. In that that's one of the, now the country she was in didn't have that very many, has a national healthcare system, so it didn't have that many organizations who specialize in trans people. Somebody managed to end up doxing, calling every organization until they managed to find which one she worked for, and through this way they managed to actually get her fired. Now, I should point out that for their part, all of the members in this trans person channel actually had a bit of a debate whether what she meant or not, whether it was actually a healthy thing or not. Most people saw it the way I explained it, where yes, it's a medical procedure, and you should have at least some psychological support during that. Oop, that's not that one. Yes, you should have at least some support. Now, there were a couple people who didn't feel right with it, again, going from what's known as the transmedicalist point of view, where transmedicalism is a thought process which basically says transgender people must undergo a medical evaluation to be considered valid. Again, that's not what she was saying. She was giving her country's viewpoint and her country's treatment standard. Okay, so it's right there. Excellent. And her country's medical standard. All this was considered. So the moderators in that special little moderator room that we had basically threw a fit. Now, I happen to share a server with the offended party. And this person was talking with another member of our server. And it's basically innocent member number one. So for my part was to go and take this server and basically take a video of everything she was saying and say, here you go, this is what she's saying about it. I think she's the one who we need to start looking at. Now, I would come to regret this decision, but what I failed to realize, what happened is, I did not care who I heard. This server I was a part of, since it broke off from this very same witchcraft server over the issue of sexuality in a witchcraft sense. Basically, there was a large number of members, or a small number of really active members right when the server began, who were openly talking about sex after basically gender reassignment surgery, sex before, sex after, sex. Basically, if you wanted to talk about sex magic, you would go to this group of people. moderation team on the main witchcraft server this all happened on basically was like, nope, we don't want that. So this group broke apart, saying that all the main server wants is basically a very safe cottagecore. So we all just kind of formed a group with a couple of us staying in both servers. Now, I, for my part, was a part of this second server, and eventually it got to the point where I was just flat out ignored. Like, people would just stop talking to me. So my thought pattern was, look, what I need to do is I need to help this one moderator who was doxxed. I don't care who I have to hurt to do it, and that was my mistake. I basically took video of that entire chat room where she and the innocent server member were basically laughing about, ha ha ha, wouldn't it be funny if she was docked, ha ha ha. Wouldn't it be funny if somebody managed to get revenge? And I saw that with a giant wink, where I'm like, look, she clearly did it, this other server member might have something to do with it, I don't care. I failed to realize that this main moderator, this main witchcraft server, had a moderator in there who was also participating in this. Is like, oh yeah, I see that as transmedicalism. Which, again, I did not, and a lot of members did not, so it was a personal opinion. Which, according to the main moderation staff, they were allowed to have. So what ended up happening is, I took the video and I basically ratted on everyone, even the people I probably should have kept silent. Now, this server, the second server, has a big privacy issue. Has a big privacy thing. A big thing on privacy. What I did was I basically violated one of the main tenants, and because they would ignore me, I did not care. I wanted revenge. I was seeing red. And basically what ended up happening is I got what I got. I gave the video and they're like, hey, wait, why do we have a moderator here? Moderator on this server who is basically part of that server talking crap about us? And right about then, I knew I'd fucked up. And I was in tears because I felt helpless. There was somebody on here preying on our moderation staff because of what? A difference of opinion? A misinterpreted comment? They disagreed completely. You don't do that. You don't do that. And as far as I could tell, most of the transgender staff, the transgender people in there, were actually in agreement with the docs moderator. Yes, there needs to be a healthcare component because many of them have dealt with suicide. Many of them have dealt with suicide, with basically issues finding out who they are. You need psychological treatment for that. And it's not just a thing where, oh, you must be, and it's not a thing where you question your identity. It's a thing where with suicide, if you start with depression, if you start to treat the symptoms of depression, the person might suddenly get the energy to go through with any suicidal ideation, and that was the main reason for a lot of people saying, yes, you need at least some benchmark to show if you're getting worse or not, especially since you're not dealing with just gender identity issues. You're dealing with depression, you're dealing with a couple of people mentioned that they were dealing with like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. And that was something else they would need to keep an eye on even during their treatment, even when they are in a better spot, because you don't know how some of these medications can react to some of these symptoms that might crop up during the transition. And this is just peaceful. This is my escape game. So what ended up happening is, this Discord server had basically its own moderation staff. The subreddit mods were basically there to help keep the name and keep an eye on things. Eventually, we were told to, keep quiet about the whole thing. Don't talk to anyone. Don't mention it. It's like, fine. I go to sleep. A day passes, and I start to calm down, and I realize exactly how bad of a screw up I just did. What I should have done was just taken screenshots and use those screenshots. Instead, I doxed everybody. I hurt people I didn't want to hurt. And it took me a while to actually realize that. And I'm going to go to this one, right? Where I hurt people I should not have hurt. So basically, I got into the moderator chat, and I'm like, "Hey, look, I'm really sorry about this. I know I accused this innocent member, but I don't think I looked back at what they were saying. I don't think they did it." And suddenly, the subreddit mod jumps in, the lead subreddit mod, and says, "Oh, you were told to keep quiet about this. You were told not to talk, not to do anything. So we're demodding you right now." This was emotionally devastating. Like, I know I told myself that I really didn't want that. I was willing to accept it, but it still hurt. And I did not realize at the time, but this was the beginning of the end. Because for one, it was the subreddit moderator making these choices. Now, as the day went on, all these Discord mods started going away. One of the non-binary mods that I became to respect left. The moderator that was just experimenting with their gender identity as a woman left. Another transgender moderator left. A male moderator left. And this would keep happening. Out of the 12 or so moderators there, including myself, one was gone. All but one was gone. That was the head mod who identified herself as basically a female witch. It's this one, right? As a female witch. So basically, I friended a lot of these moderators, and I couldn't find out that when the subreddit mods came in, found out what happened, they basically came in and started insulting everybody. As in, how could this happen? You're stupid. How could you do this? It's all your fault. You need to protect her at all times. You need to protect this innocent mod at all times. Like that sort of thing. So this resulted in a lot of the moderators leaving. One of them left Discord for good, and I totally miss her. And I really miss her. So, out of every single moderator friend I had, only 3 or 4 of them managed to friend me on Discord, said, "Hey, this is what's happening," and out of those 4 or 5, I can only talk to 2 now. So basically, as all these moderators were leaving, these new subreddit mods were starting to come in, and they would come down with they would snap at people for the smallest reason. They would snap at someone for saying, "Oh, hey, that picture that was shared is from the movie Clue," and the new moderators would come by and say, "You are to talk about movies in the movie channel, not in the meme channel," and threaten people with infractions. They would come down with the hammer of God for the smallest innocent reason. The old moderators, for their part, were the total opposite. Few of them would jump in and say, "Oh yeah, I love cool. Hey, let's do a movie night." These movie nights, these game nights, Dungeons and Dragons nights. The things that people grew to love about this room were gone. Everybody started to leave. We lost about 70-75% of our staff. We had this program, this bot set up to where someone could go into a special chat and say, "Hey, I need help with this problem," be it a relationship problem, a marriage problem, car problem. And the moderator staff could talk to bot and say, "Someone help." And this bot would use a certain tag and say, "Hey, helpers, get over here and help this person." And people would come in and say, "Hey, I'm here to help. I've had this issue. We're here to talk." You would typically get a response in 5 or 6 minutes. After the big server split, when people started to leave, it jumped from 5 minutes to 26 hours. For my part, knowing that I'd hurt people I did not intend, I was devastated. I was in tears. I was crying because I saw myself as partially responsible. So, for my part, I looked for a new server, for people suggesting new servers, and I talked, and I managed to find this one that had basically that was for people, for lesbians and their allies, people who see themselves as their allies. So I went there and I managed to relax for the first time in 18 hours. I was relaxed. I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. I was happy. I was joyous. I felt with people who would stab me, who wouldn't. I felt like I could trust people. I'm on an incline, aren't I? I think I am. Come on, stop. So basically, I was a part of the server. I talked with its members. Basically, I said, "Hey, look, I identify myself as gender fluid, but I'm willing to be an ally. Can I be in your server?" They said, "Sure, here's the standard question we have. Please answer these." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." For the first time ever, I used my experience with Black history and answered one of their questions using quotations from a book called Hood Feminism by Nikki Kendall. Basically, it was about, the quote I used was from the cover about people who see themselves as better, part of a movement, who would end up locking others out. They're like, "Oh, cool, you'll do great here." And I was there for about 12 hours, and then I was kicked, and no one would talk to me or tell me why. The only response I would get is, "Hey, we told you why, go away, stop talking to me." And again, I was in tears. I was mostly devastated for the second time in 48 hours. I felt like complete crap. I felt like if Persephone came calling and wanted to take my spirit to the afterlife, I wouldn't argue that much. I was that depressed. And I'd hate to say it, but the floor is this way. And I hate to say it, but I felt utterly hopeless. Hey! No! Backtrack! Oh, look, incline. So basically, I wound up, now over this since I joined the server, I would, whenever someone would ask, hey, what's going on? All these people are leaving. I would go into their DMs and basically say, hey, here's what's going on behind the scenes. The new mods came in, they abused and insulted the other mods, and they decided to leave. So, and could you spread it around, but keep it on a download, because I'm trying to tell as many people as I can before I get kicked. Eventually, before I get kicked. So I told that story to like 20, 30 people. Now, whenever someone had asked for DMs, I would actually... Oh, wait, I'm on that side. I would actually say, hey, can I DM you? And the new moderators weren't stupid. They caught on to this. So I'm like... So for my part, they're saying, hey, you're not telling anyone about what happened behind the scenes, are you? I'm like, no, I'm not. All I'm doing is trying to get the contact information for if they decide to leave. I mean, we have a dozen people leaving by the minute now. And a lot of these people are my friends. I need to leave. They're like, oh, okay, we accept that, which, I mean, it was a good lie, and I think the goddess Sekhmet and Persephone managed to approve of this among a few other gods and goddesses. Come on. And close. Among a few other gods and goddesses. On kill. Hey! Because when I said that, I felt pride. That was something I hadn't felt in a long time. Okay, relatively long time, especially since that thing happened in the server. Now, with that being said, I also managed to slide into the DMs and basically say, look, I'm really sorry I went after her like that. When I went and talked to the other member like that without your permission. You see, when I saw the moderator team going after calling for blood like that, I had flashbacks to when I was living in some of the poor neighborhoods in Indianapolis with odd gang activity. I did not like what I saw, and I felt I had to help. I'm really sorry. Like, oh, thank you for being an adult about this. Which kind of made me puke. Puke silently, honestly. So what ended up happening is, when I got in this server, I was re-devastated, like I had been for the past 48 hours. I felt so depressed, I called off work. And I'm someone with like a 99% rating. I do not call off, ever. In the past year and a half, I've called off maybe 6 times. And I work a lot, mostly because the overtime's really awesome, and I just do nothing but sit there the entire time. So basically I'm earning $30 an hour just sitting in a guard check all day. So, for my part... Okay, cool. So, my entire portion of that was... Oh, so I'm going straight in, cool. So, for my part, I lied through my teeth to keep myself going that long, because I felt it was important that people knew what kind of people they were dealing with. Because if they're going to insult people that way, if they're going to look at innocent people, blame them for being their gender identity, for being male and not protecting women because they are so delicate and vulnerable, they need to know about that. Like, one of the moderators talked to the head mod because they've been friends for almost this entire year, and the response, it basically said, look, I can't do this the way this sub mod is treating us, but it's been real fun. I really hope we can be friends after this. The head mod, the head Discord mod, basically flipped her shit and said, why are you hurting me? This isn't right. And then this non-binary mod found himself banned because he was, and I quote, upsetting and verbally abusing a respected Discord moderator. Now keep in mind, the only mods that were actually gone was any moderator who basically saw themselves as male in any way, be it going from male, transitioning from male to female, but not yet having been female for more than a month at a time, or being non-binary with male pronouns, or just being male like myself, like another mod, or being supportive of the other male moderators. If the only moderators that were allowed to stay and that were brought on were members of the moderator team who transitioned fully into females, changed their voice completely, went under bottom surgery, or were about to go under bottom surgery. And I come to find out that the reason I was never made a subreddit mod is because they wanted an all-female staff, and I would ruin that mystique. Now, keep in mind, I was a part of that subreddit for 5 years. And I looked up the subreddit stats, and what I found was when I joined, because I would post memes that would hit the front page so often, there is a clear jump where even as the members of the subreddit started to increase in number, I would start hitting the Reddit front page on a daily basis. People would see this and join the sub. I actually doubled the amount of people joining the subreddit. You could literally see on the graph on subredditstats.com where I joined, and there was this definite increase in the amount of people, increase in the rate of the amount of people joining, where it basically doubled. What? Don't sass me. Oh, right, Sand. Ha 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 ha, I feel stupid. Where there's an increase in the amount of people joining. When I stopped posting, there was a drop in the amount of people joining. So I know I had an effect. Like, when I would hit the subreddit during that time, there wasn't a time when a week would go by when I wouldn't hit the front page. I would often hit it 7-8 times in a row, so there would be weeks going by where I would have a post on the Witchcraft subreddit front page that was on the main page. People would honestly recognize me and assume I was a moderator because I was posting so fast. Now, what ended up... Now, when the first round of moderator came in, I jumped in and said, hey, I would be willing to do it. I volunteer at a women's shelter. I do what I can to... I study Black history. I do what I can to make sure that I make friends with a lot of women around me, and I respect their boundaries. And the response I got was... wow, that really sounds sexist. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I worded it, and I was confused at the time. I come to find out that the whole reason was not botched because I was at the time, I viewed myself as a male instead of gender fluid. Which totally which my only response to that was, I knew it! Ooh, going to 50 and 60 now. Getting speedy now. Turn. Turn everything. Turn, turn, turn. Well, the train's getting angry. Stop that. That's fine. So, for my part, this managed to go on too well until I was kicked from that other server. From that pro-lesbian server. Server number 3, let's say. Now, server number 3. Now, I vented in the vent room on several chats saying, look, I don't know why. I could use some support and help and competence right now. You know, because I don't know if I'm a good human being or not. I am literally questioning myself that much. I accidentally put this on the Discord number 1, the witchcraft server. They're like, and suddenly I found myself muted. So I found myself muted. So I'm like, oh no. I'm like, well, shoot, they found me out. How did they find me out? I don't know. Someone probably told them. And the response I got over the private moderator, sort of, we have a system where to talk to somebody, we have a private moderator channel set up. Private ticket channel set up saying, hey, this is why we're talking to you. We're going to keep it private. And the response I got was that I was upsetting people. That I should know why I was kicked. And I should stop making a big deal out of it. Now, and they also said that, also, we know you're talking about people, so we're going to kick you. We're going to give you time to, because you're such a respected member of this community, we're going to give you time to say. So I made this big, long speech about, you know, how, even though, because I saw what was going on, I knew that they were pretty much anti-male. I knew they were basically anti-sex. Yes, they would talk about sexual freedom until it meant coming into the little cottagecore community saying, and they would actually have to deal with people actually talking about the good about having sex, about sex being a part of their lives, about sex after male to female or female to male transformation. I knew that they were ignoring they would talk about how people would want, well, I'm trying to slightly irritated, but it's fine, about how microaggressions exist, how what is the word? Where one person's viewpoint of a... Hang on. Okay, I figured out the name. I don't know why I could have dropped it, but like intersectional politics, or like intersectional politics in relation to race, creed, and to like gender identity, race identity, like that sort of thing. But they would physically exclude anyone who was, say, female to male, because that would ruin their little cottagecore thing they have going. I saw what was going on, and I frankly disagreed with it. Especially as they talk about how intersectionality is important in politics, in lawmaking, in rulemaking. Like, they would preach it, but they wouldn't practice it. And I had a huge problem with that. Especially since they insulted my friends for something they didn't do. It was the Docs moderator's response. It was the Docs moderator's choice to put information in her bio. Whoa, hey! Oh, the train's getting angry. Angry train. Angry train. Okay, cool. Now I know there's a couple of 40s through here, so I'll play it safe. So basically, I laid all this out in a long, multi-page, multi-paragraph. Say a 50. Multi-page, multi-paragraph response. Basically, I said, look, I helped build your subreddit. I know that because I have the data to back it up. You know, and I'm frankly disappointed in how you're treating basically the male gender members of your staff. I'm disappointed in how you... I'm disappointed in how you treated people who you called friends. I am basically disappointed in how you're acting like the people you claim to hate. And this paragraph basically broke Discord's character limit like 4 different times. It was like 8 pages long. It was glorious. And the only response I got was, oh, you think we should treat you special because you're an early adopter? No, that's sad. We're banning you because you don't know how to treat people. And then with that, I was gone. I was banned. I was never spoken. I don't know if I was ever spoken of again. I know they don't see me badly, but that's where I've been for the past 4 months. I've been in recovery because I was depressed. I was blaming myself. I really hated how I was treated. I hated how they were treated. I basically felt... So that second server also banned me. Oh, keep in mind, that second server also banned me. I had a third server that also banned me. I had a fourth server that also banned me. All in all, I lost 5 for various reasons. Many of them resulting in the fact that had I thought about it, I would have realized utterly realized that, hey, a lot of these people in the second and third server are on a couple of my other servers. Maybe I should be careful, but no, that did not occur to me. So I don't know why it would, because that would make sense, you know. Now, for my part, I felt alone because I had no one. Wow, this is an angry train. There it goes. Ah! No! No! Angry train! You're insured! Thank you. Ah, your first derailment. I should have jumped out and gotten the... I can't see worth a damn. Oh well. You're not running away, are you? It's dead, isn't it? Oh, it's dead. Damn it. I have to go back. So basically, one of the moderators on the first server ran his own server, which I was a part of. That also was a safe space. I lost that. So I lost 5 safe places in a course of a week. And I felt guilty. I was abandoned by like 20 or 30 of my Discord friends. Many of which I was actually close to because they were also moderators on the first server. Moderators and friends on the first server. I had people just completely stop talking to me. There we go. Where am I at? Okay. So it was a big mess that I basically had to emotionally recover from. Like there were days when I didn't hate myself. Like entire days went by where I did not hate myself as I looked into a mirror. Like that kind of thing. I know it wasn't my fault, but I had to do a lot of soul searching to figure that one out. To actually come to terms with my emotions at the time. And why I did what I did. So that's where I've been the past couple of months. So on the bright side, I got promoted recently. Technically, I'm backup lead. I work as a security officer at an airport at a FedEx location. Now, keep in mind a lot of... Oh, and I want to reiterate something. Keep in mind, a lot of what that witchcraft ever meant to me was that I had a place to safely vent about racial topics, I had a place to ask questions where I wouldn't be judged. I lost judged questions about politics, correct people about politics, voice my opinion that might not be politically absolutely correct at that time. Might not be politically 100% correct. So, as a result, so when it comes down to it, I was honestly brought to my knees. I had no support I could go to help figure this stuff out. I had no places where I could ask questions about certain policies, about the racial implications, about the gender identity implications. I had to figure all that stuff out on my own. That's where I've been for the past 4 months. I basically had to help rebuild a lot of what I had missing. You can't get me 4.5. You can't get me 40 mile an hour limit. Ooh, I love that moon. Let's see some more stuff about me. A lot of what I did was basically like going to meditation, trying to commune with whatever God felt like answering. Like, keep in mind, like, all my meditations... Oh, crap. Keep in mind, like, all my meditations and stuff, I don't look for voices necessarily, I look for intuitions. Like, I might ask Persephone to how I feel, clear my head, and see if... And as I start to respect myself again, I might realize that that Persephone or Athena or Hera or Sekhmet is trying to tell me that I'm fine and I did what I could with what I had. It was all my fault and it took me a bit to accept it. Like that kind of thing. Let's see, I read tarot. And that was a big thing. I was practicing my tarot. I was getting some of my other practices in. I was practicing alone with no one to work. I managed to find another server that has its own issues. that has its own issues, a lot of which are relating to stuff like thinking Hinduism is closed, for example. Like, my argument is that I can walk into a Hindu temple, and they will willingly accept me no matter who I am, and their respect for who I am allow me to participate in their rituals, teach me their language without any questions asked, with no introductory, and they keep saying that oh no, we have to view it as an introductory language because because we've had several members say that you need to be introduced by another, that you need to be inducted into the religion, which no, you don't. I have told them this repeatedly. Which I'm like, no, you don't, and it reeks of somebody not wanting to actually do any research and talk to people who are part of religion, instead going over only a foggy member. You know, that sort of, all that good stuff. Although if it sounds off, it's because I had a story that I had to replace. So I don't get in that much trouble. Like, basically the response I get is, just because the practice is closed doesn't mean it's fully open either, which, as I pointed out, things like certain traditions like Agora are closed, but it's not all of, and the response is, well, we're dealing with Hinduism and witchcraft, and it can borrow from that. I'm like, then don't make it. Like, I physically want you to listen to me when I tell you that Hinduism isn't closed. I physically worship Kali. I literally have an altar to Kali in my living room by the TV. This is not a closed religion. You can be a part of a religion and have its members and its gods fully accept you. Like, oh, well, Hinduism witchcraft borrows from closed traditions. I'm like, then don't let it. Stop that right when you see it, and this won't be an issue. And they're like, we're tired of arguing with this now. Goodbye. Which, imagine that like an AOL sound. So I've got those issues, and it reeks of someone who doesn't want to physically deal with people of a different race long enough to learn about them, which is something I'm all about. Like, I will physically go to a temple. Like, I've physically gone to the Hindu temple and learned about their gods. Especially once Kali made her presence known. That was an interesting thing. But everyone, please have fun. But, I mean, you can tell I'm still a little bit hurt and shaken from the entire ordeal. It took a lot out of me emotionally, because I basically had no one when I left. 8, right? Yes. So yeah, that's where I've been the past couple of months. I know it's going to be hard to get back into the groove. I can already sense that I'm actually having difficulty with traditions, because at just some extent I feel like I almost don't deserve it because I've waited for so long. And it's going to take a lot of effort to go ahead and get past that. Whee! Close you off. Unbutton you. Close you. Oh, wait. Open you. Close you. Let's see, as for my hobbies... Actually, I could probably get into that later. Like, as for my hobbies, I have my witchcraft channel, of course. I got turned around. Oh! Well, no wonder I got turned around. I'm way over here. There it is. On my witchcraft channel, of course, and I'm probably going to do my video and tarot reading soon, if not at this time this video has popped up. So I can kind of link all my chats together. Yay! Beep, 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 beep. Go into fees. 11,000. How much do I have? Go away. Damn it. Ah. And everyone, please have fun and enjoy. Ooh, got current orders. Train length 1. Hazmat. Which this gets better when you have like the DM3. Which is 30 grand. But for now, everyone, please have fun and enjoy. And of course, I got my yeah, no, not 3 drop-offs. Oh, I need hazmat. Well, everyone have fun and enjoy. I sincerely hope you have a better day than I seem to be having. See, logistical halls can be good if you train them. Like, they're good for getting point A to point B. And enjoy, please. Everyone have fun. And everyone have fun and enjoy.